AFC North team is looking like the bigger threat to win the AFC.
Well, both of them look great, Skip. I can't lie to you. Watching the Bengals against the San Francisco 49ers, Joe Burrow was flawless in that game. They only had 4 incompletions. This game, he lost Jamar Chase for a while. Still was getting the ball to T. Higgins, to Tyler Boyd. I don't know. It's a hard one, but I'm a defensive guy, so I'm going to go with great defense. And the Ravens are playing really great defense. They're getting to the quarterback. It's not pressures. It's not almost quarterback hits. It's sacks. They got 35 sacks on the season, and they're getting it from a plethora of guys. They have a great rotation, a strong rotation. In the back end, they're playing. Geno Stone is leading the league in interceptions and could have had another one. Could have had a 2-interception game against Seattle. He dropped one in the back of the end zone. So I got to give it to them. Humphreys is playing really good football, consistent, one of the best corners always in the National Football League. And I always trust defense over offense. I think defense wins championship. And if you can get to the quarterback consistently with a lot of different guys, you're going to be a tough team to beat. And they're doing it at a historic pace. They've given up single-digit touchdowns. Skip, they haven't given up 10 touchdowns on the season yet. No. And we're in week, 10? And they haven't given up 10 touchdowns? You got to give those guys a ton of credit.
What's your initial question there, Skip?
Which of these two is the bigger threat to win the AFC out of the AFC?
Baltimore.
I'm going to say Baltimore as well. I look at Baltimore, I look at it a couple of different ways. Cincinnati has shown the ability to go on the road and win, whether it's in Kansas City, when they went to the Super Bowl, or this year in San Francisco, for that matter. They've shown that they can do that. Baltimore, though, is giving you so many different looks on the offensive side of the ball. Lamar Jackson can run. He can throw. They starting to involve OBJ a lot now.
They did.
I mean, when you just start to look at this team, Todd Monken has come in and given them exactly what they wanted on the offensive side of the ball. Even defensively, they're playing lights-out football. You would have thought with some of the bigger names that they've had over the last several years have departed their secondary, have departed the line of scrimmage game. You say to yourself, well, Baltimore, their defense is going to struggle a little bit. But that's not the case. And then when I look at the schedule, it's in their favor when I look at their schedule down the stretch. When I go to Baltimore and I'm thinking about they're playing Cleveland at home. It's Cleveland. I don't know what that really truly is. They get the Raiders. With the Raiders are with a new head coach that I love in AP, but it's still a situation where Baltimore is a better football team, right? Then they get the Chargers, which are the Rams. Jacksonville is still a tough one. I don't know what the 49ers and the Miami Dolphins at the end of the season are really going to be. Or the 49ers going to turn things around and have us going, okay, this is a team that we saw at the beginning of the year. Same thing with Miami. They're going to turn things around. And so when you start to look at that, you say to yourself, this schedule is in their favor, and then they get home field advantage throughout the playoffs if they win their division. They're going to probably win their division with a few losses, which means they're going to get home field advantage throughout. And to go in Baltimore and play in late January in that weather, that's going to be a tough out. Cincinnati, the same thing, but I just think Cincinnati has a tougher challenge down the stretch to finish to be able to come out of the AFC.
Yeah. I'm with Richard on this. This is a tough, tricky call for me because when you talk about the Bengals, if you have Joe Burrow, you have a chance in every game because he's just that good, and he's clearly back healthy, and he's clearly back at the very top of his game. And when you have those 3 receivers, it's just difficult to stop them. But I'm with Richard about defense because while Cincinnati has a playmaking defense, Baltimore has an overpowering, overwhelming, overarching defense that can just annihilate as it did to Seattle. And, Richard, you like the Seahawks pretty much. I mean, you think they're pretty good.
Yeah, yes. I thought they had a chance to win that game.
Yeah, okay. So they go in there, and I'm looking at the final numbers, and I'm saying, wait a second. Baltimore had 29 first downs to 6 for Seattle. Seattle went 1 of 12 on third down and 0 of 1 on fourth down, and the final yards are 515 to 151.
To 151.
What? And Lamar is now leading the NFL in completion percentage. Try that one on for size. And every time I look up, they find another back, like the kid they found undrafted out of East Carolina yesterday, that Mitchell kid. He touches it 9 times. It goes for 138 yards. And I'm saying, where did you find him? He's like 5'8", 186, and ran 4.37. Well, nobody drafted it. I don't know why, but they tend to find it's like an assembly line of backs for them. Every time I look up, there's another one, and they're pretty good, and they're pretty good, and they're pretty great. So I don't know what's not to like. So I do also have to give a slight edge to Baltimore, but maybe it's because I picked him to win it all before the year. Keyshawn had him going to the Super Bowl, right?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
And you're still hanging in with the nepotism pick, right?
Well, I mean,
the thing that they do well, Skip, is the thing that has been championship football since this game was invented. You got the run game.
Yeah.
And you got a great defense. The rest of it can fluctuate. You know, the pass game can fluctuate sometimes, but if you got a great defense and a run game, you have a championship formula. They ran for almost 300 yards against Seattle. Seattle was top 5 coming into this game, top 6 in rush defense. And they hung up almost 300 on them. Look, I was just as bamboozled and frazzled as anybody else because I did not expect them to run for almost 300 after, they've lost backs this season. They've had injuries in the backfield. And like you said, they just keep producing guys that can get the job done.
As I always say, you can be very efficient when you have numbers in the passing game like Lamar had yesterday.
Yep.
Don't turn the football over, and you run the ball the way that they did, and you play defense, you're going to win a whole lot of games in this league.
A whole lot of games.
Yeah, everybody seems to think that you got to airmail it everywhere to win. That's not, that's not true, and it'll never be true.
Okay, and to your point, Zay Flowers yesterday caught 1 ball for 11 yards because they didn't need him. Aguilar caught 1 ball for 2 yards. I'm sorry, 2 yards, and they didn't need him. It all went to Mark Andrews. Odell had a pretty big game on his birthday, caught a touchdown pass on his birthday, had 5 for 56. Congratulations to him. So they are spreading the wealth. But to your point, the bedrock, the cornerstone is they just run it down your throat, and then they dare you to try to run on them because they're going to stuff you. So, boy, they got it going on in Baltimore.
Yeah, they do. And they got Cleveland coming up next.
Yep.
Which, Cleveland won yesterday and they played, they played okay. Deshaun came back. But this is going to be, a division rival. And we'll see. We'll see how they play each other with both starting quarterbacks in the mix. I like Baltimore to come out of it. You mentioned the New Orleans Saints and nepotism. Yeah, that's right. I'm certainly going to continue to go down that road because right now they're sitting in their first position in their division.
Yeah,
so you just got to win and get home field playoff games and you're good.
Well, they look like the class of that division, not saying a lot, but they do. They should be. All right, up next, we're going to go to another division. We're going to talk about a rookie quarterback by the name of C.J. Stroud, who had a game of games yesterday. That's next on Undisputed.
No mercy, no mercy, no mercy.
Thanks for watching, Undisputed fans. Do you want more highlights from the show? Make sure to click that subscribe button for all the exclusive content from Undisputed.